Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel on Aka Design. We have kind of a lot of ground to cover today, but I still want to take a couple of seconds to thank you for being here. I've had a number of new subscribers lately, and I want to say a particular welcome to you. And I want to say to the brand new people and to the ones who have been around a while that you need to know that when you take your subscription one step further by liking and commenting, it's like you're giving the channel host a really warm hug and maybe a sloppy kiss on the cheek. So please consider doing those additional steps. I think that sometimes, unless you, I'll use the word, unless you out yourself to the host, we really have no idea who you are, where you are, what you think, what you want. And it just becomes a more satisfying and frankly productive relationship for you if you share that information. So, I just wanted to say that. Anyway, today we are working on something that has a few steps to it. This is an idea. Well, okay, I'll tell you what we need in case you decide that you want to, craft along or whatever, or at least start the process. We're using a lunch bag. I won't bother giving you dimensions or anything like that because we know that they're not necessarily created equal. We also know if we've been crafting more than a few minutes that things are not usually very precise. So if you have a bag of lunch bags, maybe try to pick one that looks a wee bit better than that one. I've also used a bunch of dictionary pages, and I'll get into the reason for that. Now, this paper is not the thinnest in the world, but it's thinner than many other book pages, so that I made that choice deliberately. Glue stick, art glitter glue just as a, an emergency adhesive in case the glue stick fails at a particular point. I normally don't spend a great deal of time or effort inking, but today I did, so I've gathered twig and my usual paddle brush for inking. I also have my handmade, homemade El Cheapo version of a tear ruler. Oh, and another thing that will come in handy, if you have it, is a centering ruler. Not the end of the world if you don't, though. Okay, so where did this idea come from? I am almost positive that I saw this on a channel called The Purring Cat Studio. I've forgotten the lady's name. She is a French-Canadian living in New Brunswick. And I thought it was awesome. So I did this. I did the folds while watching her just to capture the idea. And I've been wanting to do this ever since. So I certainly hope that I've got that information right. So what exactly is this? Well, I think it can be a variety of things. There's this pocket here. This, base of the bag, I think could be a tuck spot, whatever. We'll get into that a bit more. Maybe to simplify matters and just start the action, let me show you what to do with the bag. I have another one in progress. So again, because this is not the thickest paper in the world, you basically want to gently put your hand into the bag and sort of open up that gusseted bottom. Now, it's a little bit like, sorry for all the noise, it's a little bit like doing, like if you've ever done any sewing, and again, I'm no seamstress, I just remember a few things from home ec, 100 years ago. So, again, because this is not exactly precision stuff here, you might end up with a little, what did I do with my bone folder? A bone folder comes in handy too. If in home ec you ever made a collar or another feature like that, you know that sometimes you have to get in there with a special tool to just make that a nice sharp thing. You don't want the tips of say a notched collar to have rounded or sloppy corners or points. So basically, and use a gentle hand like I did there. The one I was working on earlier, I was a little overzealous and I made a hole. That is not the end of the world, but, again, a gentle hand never hurts. So try to, take a second or two more to get these folds as crisp and as sharp as you possibly can, because it will only make your job easier in the long run and your product a better looking specimen. Okay, so that's what you should have at this point. And that looks pretty good, I would say. So, now we know that most bags have this sort of notched out area. And I noticed, if I do say so myself, I did a beautiful job of reinforcing this, because that never hurts, frankly, when you're making a pocket. To be honest, I don't know. Let me just check on one thing. I assume that all the bags that I'm using all came from the same place. So the size is essentially the same. So because I think this one is probably the best, let's use kind of this as my guide for where to fold. So we know that when we create something that's going to fold and go back and forth, we want we want a little breathing space. So notice, let me just maybe darken this up so you can see. Ugh, I might have to actually put some ink on the brush. And I mean, if you've had things turn out poorly, then this is a lesson you've already learned. If you're brand new, this is a good lesson to learn sooner rather than later. Okay, hopefully that helps you see a little more. This is where the fold is. This is where this is. So you can see there's about, I don't know, an eighth of an inch or so there. And that's so that this can fold without binding. I'm sure that we have all made the mistake of having it too tight and then creating some problems. Okay, so that means that I don't want to use this existing fold. I want to give myself a little more space. So I'm just, hopefully you can see, what can you see? hopefully you can see that I've done that. Oh, I went a little further. I've done maybe a generous 1/4 inch. That is fine. You just don't want it touching and binding. Okay, so this, let's say 3rd panel is, in this case, let me point again, is about 1/2 inch from this fold. So, I just made a boo-boo on my 2nd one, so let's prevent that. You don't have to make a boo-boo. Let me fold back. I'd say that's probably 3/4 of an inch. And we can sharpen that fold with our bone folder. So this is basically what I'm going to turn back and reinforce the opening of the pocket with. So again, we don't want things binding. So I'm going to cut a pretty big angle there, just because it's never that easy to put glue and get it inside, something like that. Now, to be honest, I don't know how I did it so that this is so nice, unless, you know what, it's not folded back. It's a separate piece. That's why it looks so darn beautiful, if I do say so myself. Okay, we don't need to do that. I mean, unless we want to. What I'm going to do now is just turn this new folded little thing to the inside. And because I've notched out the 2 edges, there will be no binding in the corners at the edges here. Now, the same thing happened here that happened on my other one. These, despite the fact that I folded them at the same time, are not quite the same. I am not going to worry about that. If you want to worry about that, go right ahead. Now I do have this thing on my covering my cutting mat to sort of to protect my cutting mat a bit, but it kind of never hurts to have a glue paper nearby. Now I'm just putting kind of a nice bit of glue on there. Again, this isn't going to be going anywhere, but I do want a finished edge and a reinforced edge there. Now, if I wanted to really ensure some good grip, applying a bit of pressure to that glue is a good idea. Now, this is not going to, whoops, no cover. This is not going to be as beautiful as the one I showed you because I haven't taken the time to cut this little, this little notched edge off and straighten it out. And so I guess I may be stating the obvious here, or stating something that you've heard over and over again, or have learned yourself, that there are always ways to modify, to get yourself, if you painted yourself into a corner, to get, to fix whatever has gone wrong. Okay, so that is nice. Now would be a good time to fold this up. So on this one, I've said I've got about 1/2 inch there. Let's see what we have here. And again, you know, kind of, I guess, think about how you want it to look and what your end purpose might be. If you're making yourself an evening clutch, then, you know, maybe you want there to be a little bit of space there. Maybe you want it to be flush. I don't know what you want. I think, now that almost, I better have this a wee bit lower. Yeah. So again, you can see why giving you measurements would be pointless. So that's how mine is going to look. Barely, you know, there isn't much of a difference there. Again, matter of personal taste. Keep it crisp, keep it fresh, keep it sharp. Okay, so that in essence is the folding part all done. So I'm going to set this one aside and bring in one that I was working on earlier. Now, because I made some maybe not such great choices, this one will become a prototype that I will put in my sample binder. Oh, and I've promised, just haven't done it yet, I've promised to show you that. I mean, it's not complete, it's just something, anyway, it is what it is. You can see that on this one, the spacing is quite a bit different. Now, I did ink this up so that you could see better. And also because I changed my tactics, which, again, is not the end of the world, but I would have been happier with it had I been consistent. Now, I decided right off the bat that I was going to wrap my pages, my dictionary pages, around the edge to help reinforce them. And on the edge, it's not going to create a problem because there's nothing folding there. So once I started that, I was into that. I was consistent in that. Here, at the edge of this pocket, because it had already been reinforced, I didn't feel the need to do that. Now, if I'm pointing out things that could have been better, here, this piece is flush, this piece has a torn edge, and that's also partly why I inked, to disguise some of the inconsistencies. Now, it will be, can I safely say that? Places like this, where there is that fold, that movement back and forth, having the wee bit of bag show and having that little torn edge in the inking is the better way to go. However, and you know, I admit that I'm probably overthinking this. However, on a panel like this, I would like it better if they all were the same. So these two are wrapped around. This one is torn and exposed. This one is partially torn and exposed. I think I'm going to, maybe I'll just smack myself on the forehead and say, get a grip, don't worry about that. Because honestly, this, it's going to be fine, however I end up doing it. The other thing, now this piece here, this giant page, it's not so giant. But anyway, that was the first piece I laid down. And you can see that I sort of broke my own, I didn't follow my own advice there. I glued it right over a fold. Now, part of me thinks, well, that's great. I've reinforced that. Part of me thinks, oh, that could have been bad. So, again, do what in your experience feels like the right thing to do. Now, you'll see that I haven't finished because I did want to show you, let's see, I hope these are the pieces I did, you know, sometimes when there are multiple faces or facets to a thing, it probably doesn't hurt to number them. And I was doing that for video purposes. If I was doing this all by myself, I just would have glued it down. But because I knew I was going to be showing you guys, I thought, okay, I don't like it when the host is not prepared. I understand that sometimes it happens, you know, you've got a million things to gather up and a lot of thoughts rattling around in your head. But typically, I don't like it if, you know, I'm forced to wait while somebody is gathering something that they should have already had. So, this is going to, you can see what's happening on this side. Again, I'm going to have to do a wee bit of fitting, jerry-rigging here to make this work right. So I might, you know, end up having to cut that little corner off, and maybe I should do that right now and hope that that is the right angle and place. And again, you know, oh, so it didn't have to be that deep a cut, but it will make it, it'll be fine. Now, here you can see that I made a little boo-boo. This piece, again, I hope, I hope that by drawing your attention to mistakes I've made, I show you, you know, there are a couple good reasons to do that. Number one, it reminds you that even people with YouTube channels make mistakes. God knows, that things can always be fixed and that there is no perfection. And we'd be crazy, frankly, to aim for it. So you can see that I tore the dictionary page with a tear ruler. Now I clearly, and I ran it around the edge just a wee bit, I obviously didn't put it on very straight, or this part of the bag was not straight. So it could have been that too. Here it goes a little too close. Here there's about a 32nd of an inch. So I was thinking, oh, there's a wee bit of binding here. Why don't I just sort of with a fingernail go like that? And of course I tore that. That is not going to be bad in the end because this will be further decorated. However, again, it's just a reminder that staying away from folds is a good idea. Okay, let's glue piece number 1 down. So I put the number there and there. Again, just to save too much, you know, looking and wondering and misplacing of things. Goodness knows that happens enough. Okay, so I had kind of pre-folded that. I'm sticking this down to the best of my ability here. I'm going to flip it over and see what happened on this side. Now that is a fold, so what I'm going to do is just snip this off so that I don't have extra bulk there that I don't need. And that turned out not so bad. Again, throw a little ink on there. And see, I could even, hopefully you can see that, I could even, well, this is still, because see that teeny little skinny bit of that dictionary page is not going to want to stick down there anyway. So why don't I save myself some grief and just trim the excess off without opening up the bag. You need nerves of steel. Oh, you need nerves of steel to do that. So again, that's why we have ink pads, people. Okay, so the last panel is this one. I've called it number 2. I have a piece called number 2, and this was essentially, oh, that's not going to be the end of my decorating. I still have that to do. I don't think I got that ready. Okay, so because, now again, how you decorate this will make a difference perhaps. I'm not leaving this just a book page. If I were, and certainly that would be a legitimate choice, I would have varied my pages. I would have picked pages with different font size, coloration, you know, and mixed it up more. As it is, you can see, if you look carefully, that, you know, I've done things differently, but that was more out of convenience than design. So I'm going to glue this down. And okay, in a case like this, I'm far better at this moment putting the glue on this surface than on this surface, because we know it's too tall and there will be some trimming. This is also where I had a hole in the bag, so you can see that will be covered. Because I intend to decorate this further with some decorative pages, oh, that's lifting, I am not doing, I'm trying not to do much overlapping, because again, you know, there's a fine line between strengthening something and really bulking it up and making it hard to use. So hopefully I have gotten as much glue as I need there. So I'm not overlapping. I'm basically just butting it up to the edge there. And again, I'm trying to stay a wee bit away from the fold. And as much, you saw me apply the glue, but you can see that little corner's lifting. Anyway, I thought I had a card here for spreading glue. Yes, I do. You know, sometimes it's a good idea just to, and you can see it's a bit wavy because, of course, glue is kind of a wet surface. And now I'm going to, okay. I want this to obviously cover that little triangle, and that's fine. But I also wanted to wrap around that tiny little edge there. So I think I can play it safe by cutting there. Now I will probably, let's see if I can do this while it's wet. I'm just sort of tearing this against that fold. Again, just to reduce bulk. It would have been easier, of course, to wrap it around, glue it down, but that would have added more bulk. So, again, I'm going to apply glue to the paper as opposed to the thing I am gluing it onto. Maybe I need to do this first to ensure that's covered. No, let me try this way instead. Then I don't have as much bulk there. Now I could cut that off. Now okay, let's peel this up for a second. And again, I know that I am agonizing over some of this far more than is necessary. I'm just taking some of this out of here so that I don't have, two thicknesses there. And I'm going to, I hope there's still glue on there, just fold this over so my entire project is wrapped around the edges. Okay, we've got, we have that. Sorry, I could have done that ahead of time. Again, if I'm keeping with my theory or my hope that everything gets wrapped around, I can use a piece like that. And I will, that won't be enough. I could make it be enough. Okay. So let us, maybe in this case, because that's an awkward place, I'm bending it against how it wants to go, and it is resisting. Okay, what am I saying here? That's going to go that way, so I'll put the bulk of my glue on this part of the page. And maybe I won't bother gluing the entire thing because I know that a lot of that will be cut off. And I don't need it interfering with, this precision operation. Okay, so I am gluing this down. Again, just barely having it meet here. I need to pull it up a bit because, again, even though that's a factory fold, and maybe not a fold I would have wanted. Now we're a bit shy over here. So, a couple of options. Okay, first of all, let me tear this along here. And I think I'm going to just, and again, maybe this is crazy as far as you're concerned. I'm going to do that so I can cover my edge, my last edge. And then I will just make a little patch for here that will cover a bit better. The other thing I did ahead of time, and you probably figured that out already, is that I, because the paper is thin, I tore out several pages and used my tear ruler just to isolate the text box. Sometimes it doesn't matter to me if the white margins are there. Other times I prefer that they not be there. Oh, here's a small piece. I can use that as a patch. Or even this one. Yeah, maybe that's false economy. Let's get these other things out of the way here. Use the bigger patch and know that we've got pretty decent coverage. Okay, so I'm just going to slather, maybe in this case, I will slather my glue on here. I will have a bit of overlap. And I will have a bit to trim. And again, this will look more unified once I add the inking. In the meantime, let me trim this. I could probably tear this part. Tiny little thing there. Okay. Okay, we're not going to, oh, I guess we have to, because the next part is adding some decorative papers. So let's just quickly catch up, inking the pieces that I just added. Sometimes when I have a long expanse, I just lay it down on a scrap paper of some kind and do it. I think this is faster, to be honest. Okay, and I guess, I'm not sure why I haven't inked that, or maybe that, oh, that was something I just pieced in there. So I will do this edge as well. And again, you can see that this is a great way to use up several pages of book page. At first I was thinking of using Reader's Digest because, of course, I've got millions of those. Now you can see that that's lifting there slightly. I'm not going to sweat that though, because I will be either turning this part of it into a pocket, so it'll be hidden, or I will be covering it with some more attractive paper. Okay, I think I got them all. So let us put that aside as well. Okay, so what I think I'm doing here, well, let me figure out what I'm doing here. Okay, that's what I'm doing here. But of course, you could do other things as well. Although, geez, that isn't very straight, is it? That bag is awful. So clearly we don't want to emphasize that. We want it to be like so. Okay. Because there is that glaring lopsidedness, I think that the first step should be to glue okay, first, oh, here's something that's not inked. Let us think this through. Now, I'm envisioning this, well, it could be several things. Now, it is, I don't think I told you that much. It is 8.5. So theoretically, it could be in a journal. So it could be sewn in here into a signature. It could be, and in which case you wouldn't decorate the back, it could be glued down. It could be sewn in here, and then this would fold out this way. So again, you may choose to get your, if you decide to do this, you may choose to get your project to this point and then leave the final decorating for when you know where and when you're going to actually use it. See, this is that little problem. Okay, so I think just to move this along, what time are we at here? Ooh, 40 minutes. I will assume that I'm making this a pocket. So I'm going to glue that shut, and then you don't have to watch me keep flipping and flapping that thing. Now, I could have, if I wasn't getting annoyed with that, I could have decorated underneath here first, which might have been a smart idea. But I was just I just wanted that thing out of the way. Okay, now I suppose, well, okay. I just stopped myself from making another boo-boo. I could have put a notch in there right now, but then if I cover this panel entirely, I then have to redo it, notch it again, or try to match up around that circle, and that's just crazy making. So now the papers I've chosen, and you won't have seen these before, unless you've gone to my coffee. I'm going to say coffee. I don't know if that's right, but I'm saying coffee because they say buy me a coffee. So I'm thinking that was the intention. Now this is obviously, I've been cutting into it, so it's not the way you would print it if you bought it. This is my stained glass set number 1 digital that is now on my coffee site. You can see that I cut that out. Now, if you buy the kit and print it, you will see that some of these images, that's just the nature of my skill set. This might have been smack dab in the middle of your print preview box. But if you pick print 6, then you get 6. If you choose print 9, you get 9. And obviously, it makes better use of your paper and gives you some more interesting elements. And again, because I still don't know very much, ignore these little things. I don't know how to get rid of them. So there's a page like that. There's a page, let me show you without distraction. There's a page like that. Now, which is up, which is down, I guess that's for you to decide. I just love that there are options here. Cutting these small pieces out as journal tags. Creating an arch, like if you were decorating an envelope. Now, unfortunately, because of the size of this thing here, some of these arches that you see do not adequately cover the distance. Just because my printer doesn't print borderless, so it is what it is, blah, blah, blah. I love this one because this would make a great signature page. Just fold that. Now, whether or not you want to, cut around and have a fancy page, cut it in that way, your choice. This is another one of those. I accidentally printed this 1 to a page. But then, oh no, this isn't the same thing. Sorry, I just about told you a lie. Then I printed, I believe, 4 to a page. And it, it obviously turned them and did it like so. So did I number, oh, I have another piece somewhere that I am intending to use. And I numbered it. This was another thing. I printed these 4 to a page and cut them out with the intention of using them in some way. Oh, here's the other piece I was talking about, and it says number 3. Okay, then there's this page that I think would make sort of a faux washi effect. And depending how my other panels turn out, I might be using a bit of that next. Here's another one of those pages that has sort of a natural arc to it. I printed it 2 to a page. Again, it's unfortunate that this doesn't fit the shape here, but certainly we know that there are cases where this curve would be just perfect. This is a full page. I haven't done anything with it other than cut off the white border around it. But again, you can see the possibilities here. Tags, belly band, whatever you might want that to be, collage fodder, a lot of opportunity. Now this was a page, another page, and I cherry-picked some pieces off it. And I'll show you what I intend to do with them. This is my number 4. This is my number 5. And now, some of these are beautiful in themselves, but they are sort of directional. So this would probably be really good for a tall skinny, because most of us don't want a face going sideways, like if you used it in a signature page. So anyway, let me put aside my, 3, 4, 5. And where, pray tell, are my 1 and 2? Or was I not numbering them in the beginning? Okay, looks like we might be winging it a bit. Oh, why did I randomly start numbering them at number 3? Anyway, if you probably can't see, but here I've added the number 3, and this is my number 3. So my intention here was to use this as a pocket. Now, because we're on the verge of being kind of bulky, I am not going to back this pocket. But you can see that it might be a bit difficult to center this. So this is where my centering ruler came in. I used this, and I've shown this before how to use it, and I think, if you can ever find one of these at a reasonable price, I think you should buy it, because it is a good tool. So basically, on end, whatever your given thing is that you're trying to find the center on, you move it back and forth until the settings or the distance at each end is the same. So in this case, it's 4 1/4. So you can see I made a pencil mark there, so that when I come to put this down, now I could have done a belly band here, but it's quite wide for this panel, so I decided it would be a pocket instead. Now I suppose, this is just occurring to me now, so I'm lining up the center of this paper with that mark. What I could do, if I wanted to, is fold, I think I will do that. I'm going to fold about 1/2 inch of this back. Yes, I'm sacrificing part of the design. It always amazes me that you can line up a cut edge, you can, or a, an edge, and you can think that you're folding it very straight, but yet it is not. Why? Oh, why does that happen? That's one of those unsolved mysteries. And again, does it bother me enough that I would take out a ruler and measure? No. So, oh, you know what? Well, I guess the plain edge is going to be right there. Okay, so first of all, I'll just run some glue along this flap, and I don't have to be very careful because if I end up with glue on that side, all it does is going to stick a little better. Now, this is obviously longer than my page, than my little doohickey that I'm sticking this to, but it's okay. I'll just trim off the excess. Now, originally, I thought that I was going to run this around the edge, but then that is not a good idea because it would interfere with what I might choose to do on the next side. So I don't want to try trimming this before I glue it down. So I'm going to add, now maybe I should make a little mark there and there. So I know I can barely see that. So I'm going to add my glue here. I don't want it to be short. I don't want it to extend beyond. I'm going to add a bead of glue at the bottom. Hopefully I can see my mark there. Whoa, that's a lot of glue, man. And then I am going to center this mark with that pencil mark, and we will have success. Oh, I see I went beyond there anyway. And I may have put that glue too close. I guess I could slide this. Well, no, I can't. It's our glitter glue. Oh, look at, I just did that with my inky fingers. So my glue picker-upper to the rescue. This is another thing that should be in your craft room or in your toolkit or at your disposal, is it saves the day. Okay, so that is glued down. That is my pocket. This is, whoa, it's not quite glued down. That pocket is long enough. There's enough room there that I could actually get my punch in there to cut it off. I mean, to notch it out. Oh, and look how cute these are. Could these not be page tabs? Of course they can. Do not throw anything away. Okay, now that thing kind of lifted a bit of color, so clearly there will be something glued down there. There's my pocket, and I won't keep pulling at it because, we need time for the glue to set. Okay, so number 4 and number 4. Now you can see why I didn't want to wrap around once I thought about it. And this is going to be a belly band. Again, not much room. Oh, and it's a good idea to look at the pattern. I just realized that these are birds, so we wouldn't want them standing on their head. So I know that my orientation is going to be like so. So this is top for me. I think I'm just going to add glue to the belly band itself and then trim. You know what? I always talk about visual weight. So I'm going to leave the bottom black band intact, and I'm going to trim at the top. Now that's going to make that black a little bit narrower at the top, but that suits me. I'm just eyeballing this. Again, you know, what a person can put in a belly band on a page like this is going to be fairly small, or it's going to be really, you know, folded multiple times or whatever. So now the other thing I could have done, maybe should have done, but again, cognizant of the bulk that is forming, is back that belly band so it's a bit stronger. Now, with these things starting to cover some of these surfaces, I now have a better idea of what I should put here than I did before this was in place. And the same thing here. Now, what I chose for this one is to turn this, again, love that face, is to turn this into a pocket. Now, what I did was I glued just a plain one of my cut-off strips there as a reinforcement. Normally, I would turn something down, but then when symmetry is the goal or a factor, then you don't want to do that. And I won't be doing a notch because it's very clear that this is different than this. Now, the mistake I keep making is thinking that, oh, things can be bigger than they actually can be. So I decided that I want this pocket to have a gusset. So I've marked on here, I've made 2 marks, and maybe I'll just do it this way so I can actually see my marks aligning, and then I'll fold it the other way, hopefully to get a straighter. So I've just folded that there, and I'll do this side as well. Now, originally, I, of course, had reinforced the top edge of the pocket before I thought of the gusset idea. So I had to rip it off, and that's why this is paper thin here, because I didn't want to add that extra bulk there. Now, we know in a situation like this, in case there was some, imprecision with the cutting, we want to just sort of do a little notch because we don't want that edge to poke out above. There's an easier way to do it. To poke above the pocket or be visible on the right side. So that is how that is going to, now let's just see. Yes, we have room, and in fact, if this does end up getting sewn into a journal, having that little extra space there will be a good thing. Now, question is, do I want to also fold a bit up at the bottom? Oh, incidentally, because this was quite white here, I just printed this on white copy paper. I better erase that number 5. Oopsie. I just ran my dirty brush over that to just, you know, not have it so very white since I've inked elsewhere. Okay, think this through. I've got my gussets, my little folds here are going to make space. I think I like this black thing here, so I'm not going to fold that up. So I will do a little notching at each end here as well, so it doesn't accidentally poke out. Okay, so let's take our art glitter glue, and we are obviously putting the glue on this little flap. Whoa, I'm putting too much glue, not sure why. And then just a bead of glue, whoopsie. That looks like impaired gluing. Right at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to figure out my positioning based on how far I want to be from the bottom, and sort of just eyeballing where this pocket is going to look centered. Yikes, that's a lot of glue. What possessed me? And thank goodness this glue dries clear. Can you imagine if it was colored? And I guess a good thing to remember, I made a little fold there, so I better try to fix this before it. You know, if you've ever done any furniture refinishing, you know that if you slop a whole bunch of white glue at your corners, that area is not going to take stain, if that's what you're doing in the end. So I'm glad that I did my inking ahead of time, because I think that probably, let's just try, will not accept the glue very well. Now again, it's not the end of the world, because inking is imperfect in itself. So that is a cool pocket. And from there, I do not have a plan for the rest of this. So I did say I might want to use some of the washi. Oh, you don't need to see my labello, but that's what fell on the floor. Or that's not labello, but chapstick. This cold weather is pretty hard on the skin. Okay. Oh, I have this circle. Would that look inadequate here? Oh, it's a bit big. How about one of the smaller ones? I could do, well, let's separate. No, let's take two of them. Because, well, two would work. Okay, glad I didn't separate those. Sorry that this has not been cut out prior to, but you can see that this is crafting by the seat of your pants, and the decision was just made. Now, I must say that in my initial intention here with leaving these two together is folding them and maybe just, gluing them to each other so that they can be a reinforced tuck spot or something like that. We'll see how this looks once I have this border cut off. Isn't it a pain in the butt to cut circles? And it annoys me that those punches that we buy, they come in all diameters from about 1/2 inch to, I think maybe 3 or 4 inches is the biggest. I realize the paper dulls things, but honestly, for the price we pay, could they not stay sharp for a little longer? And yes, I know if you increase the amount of layers that you're using, then that could be cute. That could be very cute. But do we want, maybe I should put it on the smaller surface here. I'm just wondering if that should be a tuck spot. So if that were the case, I would glue from about there around, here, around. Well, in fact, let us make a mark. Then we'll have our glue exactly where we need it. Okay, is my grid going to help me in any way here? If I line the two edges of the circle up to that mark, and presumably if I line up my ruler, again, not on a line, but judging, then that's going to tell me where I should put my glue. And I will not put it anywhere else. No, I've said that this is the orientation. This is up. So the question becomes, I think I want this butted up as far to that right edge as I can so that there's more room to tuck something. Mind you, any tuck items might be put right there. I still think, just again, to avoid the math of having to, is it centered or isn't it? I will get this as close to that edge as I possibly can without touching it. Okay, so I'm going to add my art glitter glue. And because of this little connecting piece here, it will essentially, it could create two distinct tuck spots. So I'm just, like north, east, and west, I am just sort of eyeballing that. a wee bit off, but with our glitter glue, not too many second chances are ever granted. Now again, you know that that was not reinforced, so some gentleness is going to be required. Let's pretend this was a very valuable piece of something. Or another very valuable piece of something. I'm happy with that. But have some patience, let it dry. Ugh, it doesn't seem like there was enough there. Oh, that was my stomach growling. What time is it? Oh, 1:30, no wonder. Okay, stop touching it. My goodness. Have you ever had to slap your hand in the craft room? Okay, now we know that this is a teeny tiny tuck spot as well. Let me just reach for something that is here. You know, that was probably not a very smart idea, because that is so close to the fold. Anything that gets tucked in there must totally fit in there, or it's going to interfere. So that is going to be ultra secret and very shallow. Maybe tickets or something would fit in there. Okay, so this is what we have so far. How should I don't know, you can't tell me if I should keep going. I mean, obviously I have to keep going, so I have a photo for Instagram. Can we make a quick decision on this? So you're to blame here if it's not a quick decision. It's all on me. Okay. Maybe let's just leave those things to their own devices and see what we can do here. Now, this is something. Now, I'm not sure. Okay, this is what the actual design is. When it printed 4 to a page, it's not exactly precise there, and I don't know why that is, but okay, we haven't turned it over, so this is still the top. Now, what I could do, or maybe what I should do, is have a whole, because this is essentially the front cover. Why don't I cover this entire panel? Oops, not quite wide enough. I see a sliver. I mean, a hair's width. Ugh, why don't I just ink that instead? Okay, if I center this, okay, what I can do is apply glue around there. Oh, but you know what? If we're showing that book page, we better show it all the way around. So this is almost like making those flaps or decorating flaps or panels on a junk mail envelope. Okay, so hopefully that is going to be pretty good. Now, how do I know what angle? Oh, use this. Is that my mark? That is my mark. Okay, so if I line this up roughly, it doesn't look very straight, does it? Mind you, we've already established. Oh, it's not centered, that's why. Okay. So I'm going to make a mark over. Okay, can you see? This lines up with the mark I made there. If I make, I shouldn't have moved that. Okay, let's, what does that navigational woman say? Recalculating? Recalculating. This edge of my thing is lined up with that mark. If I make, oh, let me do 2 marks because I'm not sure. I'm going to have to think this through. I'm going to make one that's flush with the edge of this and another one that's slightly in, because we know that we're going to have that little border. Okay, think. I'll leave that until I see this because I cannot think that far ahead. Okay, so I know that this mark this mark does not account for I don't think I was holding this very well here. This is where this mark should be. Sorry, you probably didn't see that, but I'll show you right there that I've made. Let's erase the one that isn't right, which is this shorter, lower one. Okay. Still thinking. Okay, that. I cannot believe that I still don't have that mark where it should be. It should still be a bit higher. Okay, so that, if my paper is centered on this flap, that's where I've got my 2 marks. But I don't want it to be there. I want it to be a little on the inside. So let's line that up again. you've probably left me in disgust. Can I feel? Okay, that mark. Why don't I just fold it back, for heaven's sakes? You can see why most people have trouble covering envelopes, because this is maddening, but yet I don't see that I have a choice here if I want to keep the same approximate amount of border showing. Yeah, why didn't I just do this instead of mark making? And again, it may not be perfect. So let's maybe use the tear ruler. That will add to the imperfection. Whoops. This is typically how I would do that. Hold down the smaller part, pull on the larger part. Now before I do the other side, is that going to be what I want? Yes. And again, we're keeping this because that could be a corner tuck if we reinforce the back. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing here. We're just going to, let me put it a way that is easier for me to see. And hopefully you can still see. And again, you know, if my paper would have been bigger, would I be doing this? No, I would have glued it to the edge, nice and flush. And we'd both be on to other things by now. Okay. But as your mother or a teacher probably told you at some point, if a job is worth doing, it's worth doing well. Now, of course, you don't want to make yourself crazy in the process. So I guess everyone decides where their tolerance is for well done. I have not inked any of the other pieces, so I'm not inking this either. And this is going to be, think this through. I think it's going to be just glued down. We don't need to make this a 3-day video. So, you hear that when I'm gluing very vigorously, there's that sound. That is my chair. I intend, I hope I haven't missed it already, I intend to keep my eyes peeled for the Staples annual or semi-annual chair sale. Now with, I could have used art glitter glue here, but it is less forgiving when you need to, when you need to reposition something. Hallelujah! The piece has been successfully glued down. Oh, see, I got glue on there because I forget to throw this away. Okay. Hunky dory. Oh, that looks good. Now, you know, I showed you that little imperfection in the way the printer did that. So clearly that will receive some sort of embellishment or something to disguise that. I mean, it's not that noticeable, but enough to annoy me. Okay, so we have this last panel. Let me check my time. Holy cow, 1:25. I am not going to do this with you. I think what I'm going to do is look through these papers, select something that I like. Oh, I could use that and it would be simple and quick. To make another pocket. Okay, maybe I will continue to do that. If you're still with me, amen, thank you. Oh. In a case like this, it is better to have a transparent thing like this. Quilts guide or whatever they call it. I don't even know for sure. And I'll tell you why. Because of the cross-hatching of the marks, I'm able to line the bottom of this black. You can't see. The ironic part is that if you can see really well, then I can't see. Okay. The good thing about using something like this is that I can kind of figure two things at once. I'm lining my black line up against this red mark here, so I know I'm square and everything is good. I'm also, because I've done that, I can also use this other measurement, these white lines, tiny little white lines by the numbers, to determine my side border. Save that. So I know that it was kind of one mark's width away. So again, I'm lining out, well, let's use a red line again. I'm lining this up. Did I speak too soon about how easy this was? Okay. Now we're lining up the top with that red line. I don't want to put my head in the way. I can see that that's lined up. So we know that that is straight there. But we also want that same white mark lined up at the other edge of the design, which means that automatically my two side borders are going to be identical. Isn't that a miracle? Okay. Cut this off. Cut this off. Try not to leave a white. Oh. Is that because I'm cognizant of the time and hurrying to get this done? Okay. This going to glue this. This pocket won't have a gusset just because we don't have the time. I'm going to glue this piece of paper onto here. Just to reinforce the top edge of that pocket. Now, I cannot, well, job made. This might be a brand that Canadian Tire sells. I cannot believe how these scissors have served me so well for so long. When you see I'm cutting through, I'm cutting paper, I'm cutting through wet glue. Periodically I clean the glue off them, but okay, no gusset. This pocket will not be quite as functional as the one on the other side, but that's okay. We're in a hurry. Okay, I'm going to glue this down. Now, that's a lot of kind of wide open space there. I think what I will also do, but I don't think I'll do that with you, is glue something to the front of this and make a second, more shallow pocket. Holy cow. Crooked or what? Managed to get glue on my hand. Okay, so again, trying to get as close to the bottom as I can with still having a border showing. Centering it as well as I can, knowing that none of these lines or this bag to begin with were very precise. Okay. Oh, kids, I'm so glad you stayed with me. Now, of course, this is not complete. Do I have something handy dandy here? That's not the right color. That bird with his gigantic tail would probably look weird. I can get rid of these rulers. I just wanted to see before I actually turn the camera off if there is something. Now we've used this particular pattern. Oh, right there. Probably don't want to do that again. Hey, would that look, how about that? The little half arch that got cut off. Don't try to be too fancy. Or, a little side doohickey. And then we don't have to play around with angles and all that jazz. Again, it would have been ideal to back this. However, now we don't want it that tall. I would say we want a wee bit of that blue, light blue to show. So if I line this up edge to edge and make a mark here, and a mark here. Can you see? Here and here. And I know exactly where to cut this. Just again to, I don't know, as a safeguard. Is my line straight? I line it up on my matte grid as well. And of course I'm saving that. Hey, 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 hey. Just thought of something. There's the other half of that. Would that be weird or would that be brilliant? Okay. If I trimmed this and glued this down, I'd have a tuck, or would I just have, oh, I could have a tuck here and a pocket. Okay, let me just quickly, well, I don't have to cut there. I just have to cut these two sides. But this is really feeling more and more like I should if I glue that, okay, let's, whoops, I was going to say without moving that positioning. We'd have about half of, well, 5/8 of an inch or so overlap. But if I glue that there, then that, maybe what I need to do is glue the first piece down on these two sides, and then whatever I do on this side, I like it sort of that it's asymmetric. But now I'm sorry that I didn't back this. I think, guys, I'm really sorry. I hope you're still here. Otherwise, I'm talking to myself. Let's use, oh, mind you, it didn't have to be good white paper like this, but okay. First things first, let's back. Let's back the one on the left all the way down, because we know that we've already predetermined that this is the size we want. And to avoid having to cut yet again, I'm going to try to square it up to the two corners. Okay. And I'm trimming. Okay. So, didn't quite do it as close as I wanted. That will be hidden, so I'm not going to worry about that piece. Okay, if I glue this down here and here, I'm fine. Whoa, that's kind of far from the edge. That's like a rabbit trail in the woods. It's not poor gluing. It's just an illustration of what a rabbit trail in the woods might look like. I like that little sharp point there. I hope it doesn't become a pain in the butt, though. Okay, so let's think this through. If I back this, and I will, that might even be big. If I knew anything about angles, that's probably good enough. Saving paper at every turn. Okay, let's maybe glue the, wait, but then will that, when I turn that over, that's going to be wrong. Like so. Then I can do like so. Okay. Don't you hate those puzzle books with those IQ tests? Over the course of my life, I've bought different ones, you know, at various times, thinking, oh, it was probably after a media story about Alzheimer's or something, and how we need to keep using our brains and blah, blah, blah. And then you get those logic tests that I, for the life of me, cannot figure out. You know, and that used to really bother me because I was thinking, oh, geez, you know, like, what the heck? Thought I was a pretty smart cookie, but clearly not. And then I decided that, well, I am a pretty smart cookie. I just can't do those puzzles. You know, I can do other things that maybe someone who has that right-brained, you know, strength or predominance would not be able to do. So again, proof positive that we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to anyone. Anyway, me trying to figure out which way to turn the paper to make it fit was a wee bit embarrassing. Okay, done with that glue. Pull this guy back in. Make sure you can, whoops, I have glue on this side too. Make sure you can see something. Now, I can't glue it down and then trim because then I would lose my little edge here. So, okay, this would be this will be a pocket, the whole thing, if I glue the perimeter. Well, let me glue the perimeter and then we'll figure out there and there. It's just because I'm trying to hurry now that these little things are starting to annoy me. Not that I was lollygagging up until now. Okay. I have to work on that little thing there. Okay, this is how it's looking at this point. And the decision is how to glue. That's me working on that little smudge. Okay, if I glue here and here, that would still be a legitimate pocket at the back, because the bottom piece would essentially hold things. But if I wanted this to be, well, let's pick something a bit bigger, this to be a tuck, then I should just do a bit of glue right there, just to sort of hold that together. Or would I want it to be like that? Let's turn this around so you can see. And then this. I think I prefer, I'm making a decision. Believe it or not. Okay. I like this intersection of these designs, so I'm going to have this just a shallower tuck spot this way, as like a side tuck. So I need to do the bottom and the side. And then I will reach in to figure out where to put my last bit of glue. And I'm thinking I just will do a little bit here. And hallelujah, we are done. Well, done for now. Okay, one final look at this beaut. Again, knowing that more decorating still needs to come. That. Tuck, tuck. Shallow tuck. Pocket. Belly band. Pocket. Now I didn't do, oh, you know what? Some of those triangles. Oh. I'll probably have to fool around with those angles for the rest of the day. I hope not. I could add those. Okay, I'm going to add those, but later. Then we flip this whole baby over. Okay, what is lifting here? And why? My goodness, guys, I didn't think this video was going to take all day. Okay, we turn this baby over, and then we have this big pocket, this little side tuck, this big pocket, and we're calling it a day. Okay, if you have been here till the bitter end, thank you so much. I was going to say misery loves company. It hasn't been misery. It's been problem solving. It's been creativity. It's crafting by the seat of your pants. If you like the look of this kit and think that you've got a use for it in your own creative endeavors, then by all means, go to my coffee shop. and pick it up, and know that I will be uploading a couple more sets in the coming days. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.